Again, thank you very much, Ray, and thank you everyone for joining in. Love that we're worldwide. I know this will be practical, and this applies anywhere in the world. My background is I'm an environmental scientist, and I worked for the Victorian government here in Australia, so Southern Australia for those overseas, and in environmental policy. And I quit to start this business, Cultivate Farms, with a couple of good mates of mine, Tim and Tegan. And it's all centered around this ownership, farm ownership. I wanted to own my farm. I'll give my background as well. But my parents said no. And I think there's so many people across the world who have this drive to own a farm, but it is expensive. It's an expensive and a bold thing to want. And we know that, and we've spent the last 5 years trying to figure out how it can be possible for you to own a farm. And we also, as Ray talked about, have an environmental or regenerative focus in what we're doing. So we'd love our farmers to have that focus, but we definitely keep it onto ownership. And then once you've got ownership, and we'll unpack what that actually means, then we encourage you to make sure you're working in harmony with nature. So today we've got a 45-minute farm ownership pathway plan. I'm not guaranteeing you'll own your farm at the end of this 45 minutes, but you'll have a plan, and hopefully things will click in your head around what's possible with you on your journey to own a farm. And I'll unpack all what that means. But the statement we always push is that you can own a farm. I was never told this when I grew up on my farm, and my parents said I wasn't going to get the farm. I don't think many people are told this. And it's very bold, but we're saying is absolutely possible. The questions probably are around how that happens if you don't have a farm that's going to be given to you. And also, what does ownership mean? It doesn't have to be that you own 100% of the land and the business. But that's what we promote with Cultivate Farms, is that you can own a farm, and we're all about providing practical solutions for you as an aspiring farmer to own your farm. So today, hopefully you're sitting there with at your computer or phone, and you've got a notepad or a phone or a Word document or notes. But I'll throw you questions, and I want you to type and throw ideas down, and you go away with something really practical that you can follow for the next 5, 10, 15 years. We're going to talk about mindset changes that you need to make to get you even following your farm ownership dreams. That's probably the number one step, is to change your mindset that it's possible. We're going to get you to write down your farm vision. You're going to have a little black book, not for people that you want to date, but people you need to meet to get you into your farm ownership pathway and onto a farm. Lots of tactics that I'm going to throw at you, and then I want you to come up with some actions for the weekend coming, depending where you are in the world. That's not far away from us here in Australia, but a day or so for elsewhere. So they're the practical things we're going to go through in the next 45 minutes. So Cultivate Farms, we are matchmakers. That's what we've realized. We never set out to be the Tinder of farming. I know a lot of people set up companies to try and do that sort of stuff. We never set that out. We could call ourselves eFarmony, but the URL is too expensive. So we just kept it with Cultivate Farms, and it is about connecting people. There are aspiring farmers out there who want to own a farm. There are retiring farmers out there whose kids don't want the farm, or don't have kids to hand the farm onto, and they don't want to leave, or they want to make sure their legacy is retained. And there's investors, and I know investors is probably a scary word for a lot of people, but we're trying to blow open the discussion of who an investor is. And they're probably sitting next to you, or they're in the next door neighbor, or they're in town, or there's someone local who loves the idea of supporting good farming. And we want to uncover those people to back matches. So we spend our time connecting people and getting them to think about how they could share ownership in a farm. But it's all about relationships. It's all about matching people who have the same values to figure out an arrangement. We say, don't worry about the technical details of what the arrangement can be. There are lawyers and accountants out there who can help you work through that. The main thing is to find someone you're willing to share ownership with, which is a big thing. And if you find that right person sitting down at the kitchen table, you can probably work through nearly any problem if you are aligned and want to make something work. So we do this matchmaking, and how we go about doing it, a lot of it is around these three concepts of hope, farm ready, and matching. We spend most of our time on hope. I spend time creating videos like we're doing right now, giving people lots of ideas on how they can own a farm. And we'll talk through this in a minute, but again, not many people are telling you can own a farm. We're saying it's possible. It's not easy. The pathway is not always clear, but it's absolutely possible. So you should pursue that dream of farming. We know so many people who are sitting in skyscrapers, or would it be if COVID wasn't on, in a job that they're not happy with because they didn't think it was possible to own a farm. And so they've gone off and done something else. I hate that idea. If you want to own a farm, we're telling you, make it happen. We're here to help you and others that can help you. But make that hope. Make sure you're hopeful for it, or else you're not going to fight for it. Then we say, once you've got that hope, now it's about getting farm ready. Are you good enough? Go and work on a farm for 5 or 10 years, become the farm manager, understand the books, get a lease, invest your own money in cattle or in a market garden or whatever it is, prove that you want it and you're good with your own money. So that when a match comes up, which is either a match you find or we can help you with, that a retiring farmer would say, wow, I love what you've been doing. You obviously want this. I'd love to back you and I trust you. Or an investor would say, yes, you know what you're doing. You've risked your own money. You've been working hard at this and it looks like you don't want to do anything else. That's amazing. I'll back you. So that farm ready component is so valuable and so important. But we're saying without that hope, you won't get farm ready. And without being farm ready, you probably won't be matched with someone willing to share ownership with you. So they're the 3 things we spend all our time doing and encouraging people to follow to realize their dreams. This is a pathway of farm ownership. And just to show you that it's winding, and you go backwards and forwards and loop around, but we're trying to say it's a journey. This is a journey for 5, 10, 15 years. But we're saying, again, it's possible, and it depends also what you mean by farm ownership. It could be you're happy with leasing land, but to make sure it's a long-term lease and you own the business that sits on top of it. Or you might, on the far right here, we've got the bio farm. That might be your goal. But just saying that it's possible. There's different stages to get there, but we want you to have that vision for the ultimate around owning. And once you start on that journey, and we've realized that with so many farmers in our networks, that once you've got that vision, it's amazing what doors open and how you see opportunities where you didn't see them before. Lessons we've learned for these 3 groups of people that we're trying to connect. For aspiring farmers, we did a back of the envelope calculation, and this is probably not 100% true, but we calculated that to buy the average size farm in Australia on the average wage, how long you would need to save to be able to get a deposit to buy a farm, and that's 32 years. And that's eating 2-minute noodles and maybe not eating much at all in order to save, to be able to do it. And we think that's far too long. We want to cut that down to a few years and also change mindsets. That it's now not about you having to own 100% of it with the bank yourself. It's about finding people who you can share ownership with. So we want to cut 32 years down to a small number of years. Retiring farmers. So many farmers just don't know that there are farmers like yourselves out there wanting to share ownership with them. They don't even know that sharing ownership with someone else's kids is possible or even a good thing. And they haven't probably seen case studies of others doing it. So we spend a lot of time trying to create case studies to show other retiring farmers that there are other options, or an extra option to think about, rather than selling the farm and walking away. You can share ownership and realize the long-term vision for your farm. And then with investors, they're everywhere, and they, same as retiring farmers, probably don't realize their options, that there's farmers like you out there who are ready and raring to own a farm, and they're waiting on you to pull a deal together. And that's what we spend a bit of time with our aspiring farmers doing, pitching programs, and we'll talk about that as well. But we want our aspiring farmers to pull pieces of paper together which show that they know what they want, where they want, the farm operations, how much it's going to cost, and just have that in your back pocket to uncover these investors in your own community. People always talk to us, well, what does that actually mean around shared ownership? What is a legal arrangements? How does it look? And these are just 5 examples of what shared ownership can look like, but there are so many more, and you could probably make some up as you go as well. But wanted to say that there's so many different ways that these ownership arrangements can work in reality. And we don't focus on these at the start. We mainly say, are you open to sharing ownership? Great. Now let's find the right person and then work through these different options. So lease to buy, equity, you can set up a company and have shareholders in it. You do vendor finance, so the vendor can act like the bank. Share farming, so it's focused mainly on the business rather than the land, and a long-term lease. And some people are happy just with land security. And all the studies we've seen around access, for next-gen farmers, the 2 issues are access to cash and access to land. And a long-term lease is probably one of the things that is all farmers really want, like a 3, 5, 10-year lease. so that you can really put your effort into that land and be rewarded for that effort. Momentum, just to show you the stuff that we've been doing. We've got 1,000 aspiring farmers on our database across Australia. We would love to expand worldwide, and there's no reason why we can't. It's free. People can put their membership up there, and soon we're going to develop a swipe left and a swipe right sort of functionality so people can go through and filter. But we get retiring farmers filtering through the database to try and find farmers and pick them out and ask us to contact them for them. Same thing with investors. So make sure you do have your profile up there if you're looking for a farm, and we'll notify you of opportunities that come our way. We've made 13 matches over the last 18 months, 2 years, which doesn't seem like much, but it's hard work making these matches, and it's a lot about building these case studies. And we've got another 20 on our platform at the moment ready to match, and a number in the background ready to go. We're running Cultivate, which is a farm investment incubator program, and I'll talk about that in a second. We're talking to over 10 investors at the moment and got a program to try and blow that open to hundreds. We're creating content and lots of attention. There aren't many people talking about this ownership, and feels like we're leading that space and that discussion around ownership. We've got videos. My buffhead is everywhere on YouTube. Whether it's getting millions of views is another question, but we are trying to get this content out there so you can watch it and have it for free to get you motivated to find your match. And we know there are so many people out there doing the matches themselves. You do not need us to make this happen. You can do this yourself. And we know we get testimonies all the time, people saying, thank you for what you're doing, because that's given me the energy to go off and find a deal myself, which is absolutely what we want. Your goal. You only need to convince one person or a couple, just one person to back you into farm ownership. So many people's mental barriers like, oh, no one's going to say yes to sharing ownership. And they think they need to convince hundreds of people. You just need to put the word out to hundreds of people and wait and hope that one day that one person notices your efforts and says, I'm willing to share ownership with you. So hopefully that narrows this down to an absolutely achievable goal here. One person. So the backstory, this is me and my little brother, probably about the age when my parents said I was not getting the farm. This is us on a dairy farm in central Victoria. And I remember the day I was walking back from the dairy and Dad said, I asked him, when do I get the farm? And he just laughed at me and said, you're not getting the farm, we're selling, and how else are we going to afford retiring? And from that moment at age 8, my farm ownership dreams were crushed, and I never had the vision of owning a farm again, because I knew intuitively, well, where am I going to get millions of dollars to buy a farm when I have none? And so I went off and did environmental science and worked for the Victorian government, as I said. And it was probably about 6 years ago that I was catching up with a good mate of mine, Tim Hicks, and Tim and Tegan Hicks are just good friends of mine, and we're getting ready for his brother's wedding. And he said, oh, Sam, all I want to do is own a farm. I don't have millions of bucks. Imagine if there was a business that helped to buy farms for young people. And I clicked and I said, yes, where is that business? Yes, what is that? And we spent years Googling and calling people and talking and unpacking this, and realized there's not really that much focus on ownership, when we knew intuitively that's exactly what we wanted and all our friends wanted it. And we're finding more people out there who want that ownership, but not many practical solutions on how to make that happen. And so we've just been on this journey trying to figure it out. And that's why I love doing presentations like this, to try and spark more people to realize their dreams, because we need good farmers. We need the best out there looking after our land and generating our food. So that's the backstory. Our vision is to rejuvenate regional communities in regional Australia. Our thesis is that the reason why young people are leaving is because they can't get ownership, or they think they can't get ownership, and that leads to a brain drain to the city. But if we can change that around and say, no, it's absolutely possible to own a farm, stick at it, here's your pathway. You will keep people on farms and in communities, and you'll bring them back from the city. So we want to connect people. A lot of our mission here says breaking down barriers, and mostly that's what we do. We break down mental barriers around why people are saying, no, that can't happen. We're saying, well, why not? What if you tried it this way? So our big vision is getting communities rejuvenated. So to show you it's possible, here's some case studies. This is a farm with sheep. This is 3,500 acres in central Victoria. Judy and Charlie Hocking. Judy was my grade 3 teacher, and she's been following our journey. And one day she rang up and said, our farm workers just left. Our 2 kids don't really want the farm. Can you help us find a farmer? And this was probably the simplest match we've ever made. We put a post out on Facebook, and within 3 weeks, Judy and Charlie found their farmer. And now this young couple are on their way to co-owning a $10 million property. And like, that deserves a standing ovation. I think like that sort of thing is how easy this can happen. It's all about finding those people who have a need and matching them together. So that's a really awesome outcome. And Judy and Charlie are just completely open to this idea of sharing. They want to stay on their farm forever. And I just love the idea of backing a good couple, a good family. There's a farm just up the road from here, 1,000-acre share farm, and I knew this guy who's got this land and it's not doing much with it. And I hassled him and I said, "I've got the farmers." And he said, "All right." And eventually one day I sent him a list, and he said, "This is amazing." And he handpicked a couple and made a selection with a guy called Charles, and now they've set up a share farm deal. And so this isn't about ownership of the land, but it's ownership of the business, which is a wool and sheep and wool operation, and really positive outcome. And again, just matching like-minded people who are passionate and just want to get on and do good business and good farming. There's other case studies. There's Hazelbrae, a Tasmanian farm, where it's a young couple, actually in their early 40s, and they just wanted to step back and try some other things. And so it wasn't necessarily that they were retiring. They wanted to free up and do some other projects. Tim and Tegan Hicks are the co-founders. They are hustling all the time. They get real estate agents and stock agents saying they can't believe the lease opportunities they're getting. They can't find them themselves, because Tim and Tegan are out there hustling, using these tactics I'll talk through today to find opportunities, and they're not far away from actually getting their ownership opportunity. Stephen Fisher, this one in the bottom left, a dairy farmer in Tasmania. You can Google him, but the story is he did a town hall meeting. He's a well-known and well-respected dairy farmer. He did a town hall meeting and pitched that he wanted the locals to buy a dairy farm, and he's got a young builder who'll become the farmer. And that day they pitched it one night, and he got 4 investors for $200,000 each. They went and bought the farm, and it's going gangbusters. So that idea of unlocking local investors to invest locally, I think is amazing. And the bottom right here, I've got bachelor writing in will. So often I hear of people saying, yeah, there's a guy down the road who doesn't have any family, and he's just written the next door neighbor in as being in their will, just because they've been hustling and being a good person and supporting that person. So who knows what opportunities are out there. It's just a matter of you getting out and trying. Probably one of the most exciting matches we've made is with a young couple with an investor. And this is a photo of Mark Coates and their daughter Heidi, and they've got 2 other kids, and Claire and Mark are the farmers. We developed what we think is a world first program, where we had an investor saying, "Look, all right, I like what you're doing. How about you bring me some farmers and I'll pick one?" And we weren't sure if he was serious. And so we pulled together a pitching template, which you can download off our website for free. I can send it to you as well. And they filled it out along with 12 other farmers. And we sat down one day and reviewed all these pitches. And the investor said, "All right, which one do we want? Let's do it." And this Freeland pork, Claire and Mark Coates, came up number 1. They got to know each other over 6 months, and within 6 months, they purchased this farm in central Victoria, which is a free-range pig farm, and they're off and running. Really exciting. And we're running that program again. And usually I do this presentation with Claire, and she does her backstory, but I love having a case study like Claire to show this is real, because there's so many people saying, as if there are investors out there who would back me, that this was all about a relationship. They got to know each other, that if they didn't like each other, they wouldn't have moved ahead. They sat down and I was in these meetings, and they're saying, well, how could this work? And they threw ideas at each other to try and make sure it's a win-win situation. And it's been really, really positive. So here's a first bit of work for you. I'd love you to get typing and think about it, but a lot of this is around mindset. You've probably been hearing me and going, yeah, as if that's true, or no, that's not possible for me. We want you to get rid of all those thoughts, and these are just ideas to help you change your mindset to one of, no, it's not possible, I'll ever own my farm, to, well, maybe it is possible, and actually I would love to be able to pursue that. And I know it might be hard, but I'd love to be able to pursue it. And these are sort of the feelings and vibes we get and comments we get from the farmers over the last few years that have said to us around why they're not pursuing their dream. And we want to just get them out front to you and go through them, and you to cross them off your list and change your mindset. There are people holding you back. Here often, it might be your parents or your siblings who are always digging at you. Why would you want to own a farm? That's stupid. Maybe you need to change your friends. You can't change your family, but maybe you just adjust how you take their advice. And maybe you should be thinking about getting different friends, which is that second point there, to make sure you're motivated to keep going at it, because it's a big, bold vision you're going for. I'm not deserving. People say, oh, there's so many other better farmers than me. But that is such a limiting thought that, again, you're just trying to convince one farmer. Maybe the retiring farmer doesn't like those other farmers, but likes you for whatever reason. So don't put the no in other people's mouths is a big statement we use a lot. You're worried about comments, that people find out that you're trying to own a farm and they think it's very cocky, and that who are you to go and want to own a farm? And people are worried about what others are going to say. So if you can get around not having to worry about what they say, or find tactics to get around that, that'll help amazingly. The other one is, do you really want the stress? So you are an entrepreneur owning a farm. The pressure is on you. The decisions are all on you. That is quite a stressful thing. But if you love that, then you should go for it. If you hate that, you should really probably consider whether this is for you, and maybe you're better off partnering with someone, or finding another arrangement where that heat isn't on you directly. Maybe you don't have the time. And I know a lot of people have Netflix. So maybe you should be getting rid of your Netflix account so you can spend time writing your farm pitch. You think it's not possible. I'm trying to show you that it is possible. And also this other one, as if anyone would back me. Again, that concept of don't put the no in other people's mouths. Have you even put a proposal together? Have you asked anybody? Well, have you tested this idea with someone? Don't put the no in other people's mouths. So hopefully this idea is there just to change your mindset, because we're saying it is possible. So get out there. So now, hopefully if your mindset's changed, these next steps will just be really encouraging to you. Next one is farm vision. So even having a vision around the farm you want is a big step for a lot of people, because they're going, I don't even have the money and it's not even possible. Why would I write a vision? But hopefully, and you might not have that full vision today, but hopefully this will get you thinking, well, maybe it is possible. And well, maybe I should know what I'm aiming for in life and in my farm. So maybe I should write that down, and maybe you should get your dream board, vision board. I think that's what it's called. Stick that up on your wall so you know what you're fighting for. So I'd love for you to pause right now, and I'll spend 30 seconds. I'll give you 30 seconds to write down what you really want. Where is that farm? How big is it? What are you going to operate on it? And how much money do you think you need to bring in to make it happen? Or if it's not investors, it's just that retiring farmer that you can work out a deal with. So I'll give you 15, 20 seconds to write down size, location, operation, and be bold. What is it? What is it you want? You might be able to write in the comments if you're that bold, but I'll keep moving. And you'll obviously get these notes and watch this back as well. The third is around people. This is where you're going to have a little black book, and you're going to have a list of all the people in your networks, or that are soon to be in your networks, that you are going to be contacting regularly, who are going to help you get onto your farm. And the two categories we're going to pull apart are investors and retiring farmers. They're probably the two that we think about that can open the doors for you. And then all the people around those two groups of people who know investors, who know retiring farmers, who can help you open those doors. So don't have to worry about the details of this, but more to show you when we talk about investors, who they are. These aren't necessarily, in the top left, I've got wealthy individuals. That is probably what most people think when they think about investors, and probably sitting in cities across the country or across the world. They are definitely a source of investors, but there are so many other sources of investors. There are investors out there who don't know that they are or could be an investor, and we want to uncover them, and you need to uncover them as well. There could be the owner of the farm you work on. Obviously they're an entrepreneurial if they own their farm. Maybe they want to build their wealth by buying the block next door with you. How do you use the people in your network that you already are with and who already know that you're a good farmer to leverage? There are wealthy farmers out there who want to expand their empire. Why would they do it on their own? Why don't you pitch that they could expand with you? There are retiring farmers, or sorry, more likely retired farmers, who are sitting on a lot of money in the bank after retiring from the farm. They're sitting in town and they're wondering how to play the stock market. How do you get in front of them and say, don't invest in something you don't know, invest in something you do know, farming in this district, and I'll invest with you. Friends and family. Love the idea of unpacking that. Everyone's probably got a rich auntie. How do you figure out if they will back you? Self-managed super funds, definitely an opportunity. We've got a video about that. I don't know all the details of it, but it is an opportunity to buy your farm. Equity crowdfunding with organization Domicom. We've got one farm we're looking at hopefully getting that deal done in the next few months. And we're going to hopefully do some more soon as well. But the idea, you can spend $2,500 and own part of a farm. How do we get the public to put their money where their mouth is when they want to support good regenerative farming? Banks can give you up to 60%, even more, of the value of the land. That's massive. And banks don't get a good name most of the time, but they are there offering this ability. It's just you've got to find the other 40%, which is the hard bit. And then if you aren't investing your own money or saved your own money, why would anyone else want to invest in you? So make sure you've got your own money to invest, and make sure you're saving, or put that into the wealth, like cattle or your business, that you can contribute with another investor. Who are retiring farmers? We mainly are talking about farmers who have no kids or whose kids don't want it. But there are other categories out there, that we're talking about the Hazelbrae farm in Tasmania, that they're just entrepreneurial farmers who want to step away and do some other things. Or there are farmers who are wealthy and just want to keep expanding their empire, and they can expand with you. And also there's your family. So it might be a lot of people. Normally the traditional way of handing a farm on is through your family. And maybe you can use this if you are going to inherit the farm. You can use some of these tactics to make that journey a bit more smoother for you, but also help you to think about other farms that you could go on to, rather than waiting for many, many years for your parents to finally hand it over to you. So here are the tactics. And I guess where I've written be genuine, is that I'm going to give you some really raw, practical steps in getting in front of people. But if you do not have a genuine attitude of wanting to provide value and wanting to do it in a loving way and in a respectful way, then this is all gonna collapse. You can't be there approaching people saying, I want your farm, give it to me now. This has to be, hey, I'd love to farm. I want to own a farm. I know what you're doing. You're doing some great things on your farm. How can we figure out a win-win, and do it in a genuine way? If you don't have that attitude, this is going to fail. And we do not support anything other than genuine interaction of wanting to create win-win results. So tactics, investors out there, make sure you get a little back book, but you should be out. A lot of this relies on getting out and having cups of coffee with people. You might find alternatives in the current climate, but get out there and find the mayor. The mayor of your council wants to bring people in, wants to keep young people, wants to keep the retiring farmers in the community. Go and talk to them and say, hey, you need to find a way to keep me in this community or else I'm leaving. Open doors for me. How do you go to the land services organizations, catchment management authorities? I'm not sure what they're called in America and Canada, etc. But there's organizations out there whose job every day is to find people in the catchment who are supportive. And they've probably got investors that they know about, or wealthy people in the community who could help them. Succession planners could help open doors to investors. Real estate agents absolutely would know people wanting to invest into properties. Are you having coffees with them once a week and being annoying till they finally open doors for opportunities for you? Accountants, they've got their finger on the pulse of everyone with money. How do you go in there, prove yourself, have those coffee meetings with them and say, hey, I'm a great farmer. I know what I want. I know what I need. I need X million, I need X hundred thousands, whatever it is. Hey, help me to find these people with money that I can convince to back me. Bankers, you should be talking to your bankers all the time as well, not only for debt, but again, they would know investors as well. And they want to support the community. And if you're out there pushing that you're a great entrepreneur, they'll want to support you because it's a great story for them as well. And then farm advisors. These people, might mainly have the contacts with the retiring farmers, but again, you never know what connections these people have in the investor space. So a lot of this is just getting out there and talking, phone calls, emails, coffee meetings, and talking to find these people. Probably the best tactic to have to unlock these investors is to have a farm pitch. If you find an investor who says, I've got money, I love the idea of investing, and you go talk to them and say, hey, I'd like to, like a market garden, probably within X Ks of this city, I think you failed. You need to be able to go in and say, all right, I know what I want. It needs to be here. I've got a model farm here. Here's a map of it. Here are the issues with the farm. Here's how I'm going to solve it. Here's the financial model. You need to have a pitch ready. And this is what we spend a lot of time with our farmers doing, just developing it, having it in your back pocket ready so that you can convince someone you are legitimate. If you're out there developing an app and you want millions of people to invest millions into you, you wouldn't go there with a little story about, oh, I'd like to develop this app. You'd have a pitch ready. You'd be schmick. You'd be ready to go. And that's the same thing here when you're trying to uncover investors. Have your plan ready and have the thinking done. Spend months and years pulling it together so that when you do find those people who could back you, they are impressed by you. Retiring farmers, same thing. You need a little black book, and they are out there. And you probably drive past farms all the time that you think, oh, I'd love to be able to work with that farmer. I know Tim and Tegan think about that all the time when they're driving around their district. One tactic, which I think so many people need to be using more of, is social media. We started our business by getting on and doing videos like this and creating momentum. How do you, as an aspiring farmer, bite the bullet? And we know it can be confronting, but create content around your journey to own a farm, pretty much documenting your journey. You don't have to be an expert. You just need to tell people, hey, we're on the hunt for a farm. We would love this sort of farm. We've got, we can invest ourselves. We would love to talk to any retiring farmer out there who wanting to step back, want to share ownership, document that journey, put it on social media. You don't need to convince the world. Again, you just need 100 followers or 50 followers, and people talk and share and opportunities could come. So social media, I think, is so powerful. Have those coffee meetings with again, those people I talked about with the investors. So people in the community who know people. Tell people your vision and what you want. At dinner parties, you should be annoying. You should almost be at that stage where no one wants to invite you to dinner parties anymore because all you talk about is your dream to own a farm and you're telling people. Join groups like land care groups or farmers associations and be a part of those communities and talk to people and get to know them. And you'll find those farmers who align in their values and you'll find their story and you'll find out a way to figure out how to find a win-win relationship and outcome with them. A letter in the letterbox. We've got a blog post. I've written a letter that you can write, and handwritten is probably the best, and put in a letterbox of a farmer that you would like to talk to. No one writes the handwritten letters anymore. That would be a great attention grabbing opportunity, and we know it works. Get paid to meet farmers. People, if you're thinking about getting a new job, and again, it's a totally different world at the moment, but if you're thinking about, I want to own a farm and you need a job in the meantime, get a job that gets you in front of farmers. Go be a petrol tanker driver, a milk tanker driver, work at the hardware store. There's got another blog with heaps of ideas on there. But think about those jobs that you get paid to get to talk to retiring farmers or farmers. Amazing. Local newspapers, write an article. And again, we can help with this and we're trying to do it more. Write an article about yourself and why you want to own a farm and put that in a newspaper. Newspapers will love it. And a lot of older farmers still love the local newspapers and read it. So get attention where they're at. More ideas, hold a town hall meeting, pitch like that guy in Tassie did to own a farm. And that's a pretty bold sort of thing. Love the idea of it though. You should know your landscape better than real estate agents. So people say to me, oh, Sam, can you help me get this farm? It's on the market, it needs to be sold in a month. And I'm like, fail. You should have known 3 years ago. You should have been talking to that retiring farmer. You should have built a relationship. You should know every single farmer in your district and have an understanding of whether they're going to be stepping away soon or a long time away, or if their family are going to have it, or if it's an opportunity. So you need to know it. Don't rely on other people. Go to places where retiring farmers are. The biggest one is the stock sale yards. Go places where they are. Go and volunteer. Go and use your skills. Help build a fence for them. Build a relationship that way. Build a relationship. Lease land. I know it's just as hard to get lease land as to buy land, but look for lease land and build your skills that way, and build a relationship with it. And got all the haven't been sold, and go email the real estate agent and tell them, hey, this farm hasn't sold for a while. Do you reckon the owner will be up for vendor finance? And be annoying. Use these data that's available for you to open opportunities. And then there's this Queensland Young Farmer Debt Program listed here. Obviously for Queensland, Tasmania have it as well. But there's debt programs out there that you could be leveraging and taking to retiring farmers and saying, hey, I could probably get a couple $100,000 here through this debt program. Imagine if I could free that up for you as well. And you can spend that on upgrading the farm or whatever you want. But utilizing these resources of revenue to help in these negotiations. Just conscious of time, I've got 5 minutes, so I think I'll get there. Other things, Facebook Marketplace, the classifieds, hey, farm wanted, retiring farmer wanted. It's free and everyone's on there. You utilize it. It's never been a better time to be annoying and find your farm, get on those marketplaces. The other one, pick your right partner. Why don't you marry into a farm? That's probably a good tactic. Or get adopted by a retiring farmer. That was a bit crazy, that one. But set up a contracting business, farm sitting, get out there. And if someone's willing to do farm sitting opportunity, then maybe they're open to sharing ownership. And the last one here, driving up driveways. And that's pretty bold sort of thing to do, but it could work. And Tim and Tegan, again, they do that as well. Drive up driveways, have a chat, kick around ideas. People can, all I can say is no. And then they'll probably tell their friends that this bold farmer or couple came up to me. I can't believe it. And their friend goes, oh, maybe they'd be interested. I'd like to talk to them. So 3 actions for this weekend. I like just to pause before I finish off. But out of all this, hopefully you've been making notes. I would love for you to pause now and think about what are the 3 practical things you can do this weekend to make your farm dreams a reality. There are things you can do at the end of work and the weekend that could be opening up opportunities for you. I love now just to pause for you to write down what is at least one tactic that you can pick up and have a crack at and just see if this is possible. I can't pause for too long. It feels a bit weird. All right, so that's pretty much it. Hopefully, I'll just recap what we've done. Hopefully your mindset has changed, that you think, maybe it is possible I can own my farm. And that has hopefully cleared the pathway for you to think about your farm ownership pathway. Keep thinking about what you really want. Where do you want to farm? Where won't you farm? Know what you want. Write down your farm vision. Build your little black book. Know everybody in the community who can help you and just get in front of them as often as you can. And then your tactics, create social media, coffee meetings, all those writing letters, all those things. Have that big list and pick out the ones that you're comfortable to have a crack at, and maybe the ones you're not so comfortable, maybe in the future once you've learned a bit more. And then constantly think about these actions, not just for this weekend, but ongoing. There are so many practical things you can be doing to make this dream possible. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but you got to stick at it. And we're here to support you and hopefully inspire you. But we encourage you to stick at it. And talking about inspiring, we're on YouTube, Twitter, podcasts, we're Instagram, blogs, on Google, website as well. There's content everywhere. We're trying to write a book at the moment as well, just to put it all in one nice, simple place to read. But we're here hopefully to inspire you to get out there and make your dreams a reality. It's possible. So it is time, Mr. Wolf, to own your farm. Thank you for your attention and for watching this video. Click here or somewhere to watch more of our videos. If you're new here, please do subscribe. We want more of your attention. We want to get you inspired to get onto your farm. Let's get you farming.